So last sessions, we've got Steve and Riley Hathaway from Young Ocean Explorers. So we have to give a special shout out to the Wright Family Foundation because they basically made it possible for them to get down here. So maybe a quick round of applause for them. And who are these fine people? Well, Steve has spent his life chasing adventures on and in the ocean. Swimming with orca, sharks and whales is all in a day's work. In the actual ocean, I presume, not like a little fish tank in your office. That would be, it'd be weird. And he's all about underwater footage featuring in many international documentaries, including BBC's Blue Planet. Have you all seen that? Well, look at that. Autographs available at the end. Yeah. For which he won a BAFTA. Do you want to know what BAFTA is? That's definitely worth a round of applause. I feel such an underperforming human listening to all you speakers. It's like PhDs and BAFTAs. Also, National Geographic's recent Secrets of the Whales and the popular and timely documentary Blackfish, which is about orca in captivity. And he also created Young Ocean Explorers to inspire this generation of environmental natives about our incredible underwater world, which is where Riley steps in because she's a 20-year-old passionate advocate for the ocean. And when she was 12, you had a school project turn into this Young Ocean Explorers. It was all about plastics in the oceans, where you filmed 20, my word, at the age of 12. Did you not get to go to school as well? Do we have to have a conversation about this? But hey, it's for the greater good. 20 amazing adventures for the kids show What Now? How cool is that? Which is filmed down here mainly, isn't it? There you go. Riley's aim is to help kids love the beauty and diversity of our marine life and to create stories that inspire kids to love our ocean and look after it. She's particularly passionate about reducing plastic harm to sea creatures. So this probably seems like a good conference for you both to be speaking at. Without further ado, come on up.
Awesome. Kia ora everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and to be able to talk to you all, but it was also pretty awesome just to come and be a part of it and do the beach cleanup. It's an incredible conference and yeah, I'm very excited to talk here and just tell you a bit about our story and what we've done. It's been an incredible 8 years working together and hopefully more. But yeah, I don't know, I want to share our story but also encourage you guys to follow your dreams and hopefully make a difference in that way too, because I'm sure that all of you in this room have really cool ideas to make a difference. And yeah, we just want to share our story.
Yeah, so we're sharing our story. And, you know, one thing we really wanted to bring out today, and we often don't, is just showing some of the different moments in our journey that it's taken different directions than what we planned. Young Ocean Explorers was a complete surprise. So we're going to take you into our world. We'll turn off the lights now, and because the photos look way better than us, well, at least me in particular, not Riley. And this is me in a day's work in the Cook Islands. And that's a very happy day at work, I have to say. It's not all like that. So I was over there a couple of weeks ago. The whales weren't there yet, but I've been there numerous times to film them. And humpback whales are mammals like us. They breathe air. They've got warm blood. They suckle their young. One fact about whales that you might not know is that they have hair. Every bump that you see on their head has a hair follicle. So like us, they have hair as well. But what they were doing in this case is they were down at about 20 meters, and for about, I was timing it, I think it was 21 or 22 minutes, they'd be holding their breath and they'd come up. I would turn off my camera until about 20 minutes, then turn it on, so I was conserving battery. And then these things would come up, and one in particular, every time would come straight towards me. And the very first time, like these animals grow up to 16 meters. They actually don't look very big there, but 16 meters, I counted it out. I think this room is about 12 meters long. So add another third longer, and that's how big they grow. They are ginormous. And I had this huge whale coming straight at me. And at the last second, this thing turned, and these massive pectoral fins, the largest body appendage on an animal, all of a sudden just flicked around and coming towards me. And if it hit my camera, it would have just smashed its smithereens or broken bones if it hit me. And all of a sudden, it just went just above my camera, and I'm filming it. The next time they're holding their breath and come up, it comes straight towards me again and went just underneath my camera. Then the next time, just in front of the dome. It would have just absolutely smashed it. Then the next time it's coming towards me and it did something very different. I'm watching it with its pectoral fins are kind of going like this, and it's like, oh my goodness, it hasn't made up what's mine. What's it going to do? Comes straight at me, and all of a sudden I'm just lightly rolling down the back of a humpback whale, and his tail lightly hit my camera on the way past and did a little bit of damage and put the fear of whales into my life. They are very powerful animals. No, I love being in the water with them. But anyway, this is a highlight, one of the highlights of my life. I get to film orca. I've filmed them a lot. This is in The Secrets of Whales, which is on Disney+, part of the New Zealand story. And this unfolded in front of us. And what happened is we had a pod of orca out at Kawau Bay, near where we live, out at Tawharanui Peninsula. They were playing with this cray pot, pushing it down, and I'm in the water filming it, just like the red lights flashing, I'm getting all this, it was amazing. And they're pushing it down, and then all of a sudden, after a few minutes, the biggest one in the pod swam up from the depths, just past me, and sat on the surface, and I'm filming down from below. And I thought, oh my goodness, it's just sitting there. And I swam up, and I'm about this close to this orca head, thinking it's only going to last for a few seconds, and I can see its eye and all the scratches, and I'm filming it. Couldn't believe my eyes. And after a time, I swam around its head, then come around, and all of a sudden I saw this rope. It was entangled. And I just swam to the side, swam back, and started filming, and I called in my safety diver, and he cut it off. And then this orca just swam slowly past me, really gently. I turned my camera around, and my friend Luke was there with about 4 or 5 orcas sitting behind him watching him. I was like, holy moly, amazing. So highlights of my life for sure. Hey, I've always been really, I've always had an uncanny and over-the-top love of the ocean. All I wanted to do when I was growing up was be on the ocean. And I remember a huge thing that happened in my life. Like, I was actually in construction for 20 years. I didn't know what I wanted to do for work. Teacher at school said, why don't you do this? I went and did it. Didn't work. And then I thought, I want to be outdoors. I went building. Did it for 20 years, but I did a lot of spearfishing, a lot of time on the water. I had my own business. We would have lots of adventures like this. Amazing. About 25 years ago, I was involved with a locally made show called Ocean File. And it was the first time in my life, like, being in front of the camera, and we were shooting these stories, amazing stories, for a zero budget. But what it did was it put something in me that showed me the power of visual storytelling. And I thought, one day I want to have my own underwater show. So over a number of years, I'd tell my friends, this is what I want to do. And they thought I was an absolute dreamer. Sometimes I thought I was a dreamer. And then probably about 13 or 14 years ago, I come back from the States after being there with a family for a year. I bought this boat, bought a camera. My wife said, you can chase your dream. And absolutely clueless, I got into it. I didn't want to be an underwater cameraman. I won't tell you all the story. But I ended up getting into underwater filming and filming orca and all that kind of stuff. Unbelievable. So dreams do come true. So this is some footage I've shot, particularly around the Hauraki Gulf Marine Park where we live, and I'll show you it right now. But we'll just turn down the volume a little bit. So many people don't know we have manta rays in New Zealand. I pulled my son out of school this day. One mistake I made was a couple of his teachers followed me on Facebook, and I did a Facebook Live. The next day, the teacher goes, that was so much cooler than school. Pyrosome, I filmed down at White Island, not part of the Hauraki Gulf Marine Park. Even Joe Rogan was talking about this in his podcast. It went viral, that footage. False killer whales, we filmed for Blue Planet 2, and I've been filming them again this year. Holy moly. I've spent a lot of time in the water with these animals. This is where they're hunting kingfish. We actually had them for young ocean explorers. The Mokahino Islands, New Zealand fur seals, a great success story in New Zealand. Striped marlin. That's the dream that came true. When I was a little kid, I dreamed about marlin. And that was a day where I had marlin feeding off my body, because I had fish hiding around my body. It was quite an exciting day at work, to say the least, when you got these big sharp bills racing in at you. Goat Island Marine Reserve, established in 1975. If you park up your boat there, that's what happens. We weren't feeding them, but they're used to being fed. That's why they sit under boats. This is an orca called Pickle. I've known Pickle since it was born. We filmed it with BBC for The Secrets of Whales, probably about 12 years ago. You're going to see in a second it's got no fin. It was bitten off when it was young. There's a long-tailed stingray. Thinks it's going to get away, but no. And you'll see Pickle was upside down when it picked up the ray. then spun around. Now it's going to put the ray into a state of tonic immobility. So another orca come alongside. They've got very good grabbing teeth, but not cutting teeth, ripping apart. I actually had orca all around me here, and they were grabbing 4 different rays. There's Pickle upside down. When they look close to the camera, they're really close because I'm shooting wide angle. It's almost like it's got a locked jaw there. It's a pretty hard case. But I had a little bit of a sensation. It's like I thought something was behind me. And I turned around. I was like, oh, yeah. And it was like right up behind me, just checking me out. The thing about an orca is whether they're ripping apart a ray or they come and look at you, they're expressionless. So I think a lot of people have a false sense of security with them. They are absolutely brutal animals, you know. Yeah. I've got a funny feeling some of them actually know me because they know my body shape and I've got this big metal canister in front of me. In this case, they were chasing rays up onto the rocks and they were spy hopping, trying to figure out how to get this ray off the rocks. They did it 3 times this afternoon that we saw them. And this is a moment when you say they let you into their world. It doesn't happen very often. Pickle checking me out. It's been so cool for me seeing Pickle grow up. You know, it's actually quite a large animal now. It's amazing how quickly they grow up. Yeah, pretty special. For me, the most important thing when I'm filming is I see a red light flashing. I enjoy the moment later on. Yeah, sure, it's fun, but for me, my job is to capture the footage and not stuff it up. It's a bad day in the office if you forget to press record and you have one of these moments. It's happened once earlier on in my career. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to let Riley carry on here.
I just find that incredible. I've watched that quite a few times, but to think that this guy was like this close to some of these creatures is actually mind-boggling. Like, I think that's insane, and that he gets to call it his job. I think he's got the coolest job in the world. And for me, my upbringing has been very privileged in that way. Well, in a lot of ways, but in that way in particular, because before Dad was an underwater cameraman, he would come home with the stories of like spearfishing and surfing and all that cool stuff. And I was really intrigued by that. And I always had a love for the ocean. But then when he started filming, he would come home, instead of like with heaps of fish, he would come home with footage. And for me, that was like way better. I'd sit in front of the TV and watch stuff like that, and he'd be talking it through with me, which I'm just so lucky to be able to witness that. And I've actually been really lucky to be on the water while he's been in the water with Orca, because I don't know.
She was in the boat.
Yeah, I'm just going to explain that.
She wasn't breaking the rules.
So, for those of you who don't know, if you don't know that in New Zealand you can't swim with whales, and even though orca are the biggest dolphin, they're actually considered a whale under that law, and so you can't hop in with them. But my dream is to one day be snorkeling and randomly have an orca come say hi, and then I can stay in the water, and it would be amazing. And it will happen one day. But I have been lucky enough to be on the boat when Dad's been hopping in and watching him do his job. It's not your normal type of job, and I just think it's so cool. So it's been awesome to experience that. But what we've been doing together is Young Ocean Explorers, and that journey in itself has been awesome because, like I said before, I've had a love for the ocean my whole life, but I've always been fearful of the ocean, and to get to do these adventures with my dad, so Young Ocean Explorers, thank you. Young Ocean Explorers is pretty much those 20 episodes we did for What Now, they were all 5 minutes long, and each episode would be interviewing an expert on a certain animal. So we did stories on heaps of different creatures, but yeah, we'd go out on the water together and go interview this expert and then go hop in the water with the expert. And yeah, very, very lucky. And it's been a really cool journey because, as Dad said, we kind of started at one point and it's kind of taken very different journeys to what we expected. And it's been really cool. But our aim throughout the whole thing is just to inspire kids to love the ocean. Our target audience is 5 to 13-year-olds. So it's actually really, really fun to be talking to you guys today because you guys are my age, and it's pretty fun. But yeah, we normally target that age group because I think, and you all will relate to this, being a young person in today's society, it's actually really scary and sometimes quite overwhelming, and you can feel a bit helpless, hopeless with some of the stats you hear and all that kind of stuff. And so with Young Ocean Explorers, we want to inspire not just kids, but adults and you guys to, I don't know, just fall in love with the ocean so that you want to look after it. You don't want to scare kids into wanting to look after something, because I don't think that's the way to go about it. So it's been pretty cool, and we just want to share some of the stories. So how it all started was, this is me at 12 years old. I went to Mahurangi College up in Warkworth, quite a while away. And what we had to do was we had to come up with a project about an issue happening in the ocean. And so I had seen on the news that turtles were dying because of plastic. And I think back then, around 8 years ago, it wasn't as common knowledge, you know. And so it totally broke my heart. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a video, because this project, you could do it in so many different ways, which I really enjoyed. You could make a video, make a song, make a speech. There were even like someone made an actual sculpture of a shark, which was awesome for shark finning. There were so many different ways. So I decided to make a video, and I kind of went up to Dad and was like, hey, can you please help me? Because we're allowed our parents' help, which was awesome. And I was like, surely you've got some footage of some turtles. And so he, lucky for me, he's friends with Dan Gurui, who's that guy there. He's New Zealand's turtle expert. So he came over to our house, and I asked him questions about turtles, and how plastic was affecting them. And Dad helped me piece together this video. It was around 7 minutes long, really roughly put together, with me interviewing Dan and with some turtle footage. And I went and showed my brother's year 6 class. And to be honest with you, I was 12 years old, and it was just a school project. You know, I was passionate about the cause, of course, but it was kind of like, you got to do what you got to do. It's a project. But I went and showed my brother's class, and my dad came along to watch, and he was sitting in the back, and he just described. Do you want to describe this? Do you want to describe what you?
Yeah, like as a dad.
I feel weird.
Thanks. I'm glad you're not going to describe.
I
my
normally
feelings.
do talks by myself, so it's cool having you.
But there was like 30 kids, and I was sitting at the back of their class with no expectation, just supporting Riley doing a talk, and we lived right next door to the school, near the school, so it was easy. And I'm sitting there, and this video played, and all of a sudden, it just went deathly quiet for 7 minutes, and I just saw these little kids just go. And like a number of minutes in, I was like, holy moly, this is the idea I've been looking for all along. And it was been sitting underneath my roof. It was like a light bulb moment. Literally, it was just amazing. And I thought about it for a couple of weeks. And I thought, well, if Smiles doesn't want to be in it, it's not going to even happen. But I was just thinking, what could we do? And I'm just having all these ideas. And 2 weeks later, I approached her and said, Smiles, you know, would you be keen to do any other stories?
That's what he calls me, by the way. Sorry. That's
not her actual name.
Smiley Riley. Yeah, okay.
And I said that to her instantly. Like, this is, Riley had shown, like, she'd always been on the ocean with me and all that kind of stuff, but never really piped up much about the ocean, not shown a lot of necessary enthusiasm about it. And I said, would you want to do any stories? Or what would you do? And she goes, oh, I'd do orca, I'd do stingrays, I'd do Hector's dolphins. Like, what the heck? Or Maui's dolphins, actually. And it was like, what the heck? I had no idea. So it was a big moment. And so things got going from there. Hey, I was talking about these ideas with a friend. And he said, man, there's a Dragon's Den contest that had 20 grand up for grabs. And my friend was a producer, a director. And he goes, no, this is where friends come in. It's so important. This was not my skill set. He goes, Steve, I believe in what you're doing. How about we just make it? I'll do it for free. I'll get an editor for free. I'll get a cameraman for free, or pay him a box of beers. I knew a scientist. And he said, let's do it. So we organised it. This is what we did.
Do you want that?
This is our video.
It was a little while ago.
Did you know that there is about 600,000 kids in New Zealand around my age that know very little about our marine world? My name's Riley, I'm 12 years old, and today I'm going on an adventure with my dad to find out a few things about crayfish. Here's Dr. Roger Grace, and here's a marine biologist. Dr. Grace, what's so special about crayfish?
Well, crayfish are a very important animal that lives on a rocky reef. They eat kinna, and if you don't have enough crayfish around, the kinna can multiply and eat the kelp forest, which destroys the reef.
So where do crayfish hang out?
They usually live under ledges and in small caves.
miles. You ready? Let's get out.
Dad, look at this!
So my friend's a clever guy, you know, so did a great job of that. And the idea was, Riley said, that was our age group. So we were thinking about our target audience. And for me, as someone that's so passionate about the ocean, I've always been enthusiastic about taking people in the water. And like I get people coming to me years later going, that was one of the best days of my life, you know, and stuff like that when I've taken them out. And for me with kids, I wanted to show the awe, the wonder. I want to inspire a generation of kids that go, holy crap, that looks awesome, you know? There was somebody in the 60s and 70s that inspired millions of people to get into the ocean. His name was Jacques Cousteau. The very first job I got to film was for his son, Jean-Michel Cousteau, which is really special, and I've been really lucky to meet him a few times and go and hang out with him over in California. Anyway, this Dragon's Den contest is like, oh, we won it. You know, that was really cool. And it costs a lot more than 20 grand to make a show. I approached What Now? I had this idea. It's like, how about we make you some short episodes for your show? Well, for them, they want to know you can make it on time, make it on budget. Well, they said to me, by the way, we got no money. Okay, so the budget was zero. So I had to win 20 grand. I was asking, I got the EIF fund in Auckland, gave us 15 or 20 grand. You know, the Environment Initiative Fund gave us some money. We got a few others gave us some money. And my director friend worked for free to do 10 episodes. So much work. There was probably at least 2 or 3 days work for him. And we paid the other people next to nothing. So we had a whole lot of people that believed in this project and made it happen. A huge step. And, you know, if I just kept the idea here and hadn't done anything about it, I'd still be a dreamer just talking to my friends about this idea.
Oh yeah. So so with our series for What Now, like I said before, we did 20 episodes and they were all on different creatures. So we were lucky enough to do stories on turtles. Obviously, I did my project on turtles, but then we got to refilm one up at the Paw Nights, and we actually got to be there when Kelly Tautons released some turtles that they'd helped nurse back to life, which was epic. We've been able to do that quite a few times, and I think the work they do is really, really awesome. We also did a story on eagle rays, which was awesome because they're amazing creatures. I'm in love with them. But also that day was the first day that I got to swim with my English, that I got to swim with a shark for the first time, which was very, very cool. I was very scared. I jumped on Dad's back and wanted to hop out of the water.
Squealing.
But I claim it, and it was awesome. And
I've had grown men jump on my back when they see sharks as well, squealing. Just throwing it out there.
That same day, we actually saw a manta ray in the Hauraki Golf Marine Park, which is awesome. The Hauraki Golf Marine Park is incredible. Te kapa moana, te moana nui a toi. I think everyone needs to know about it. It is incredible. All those, the first 10 episodes we filmed for What Now were all filmed there, and it's such a special place, not only for those who live there and experience
precious
it.
as Tonga as Fiona National Park in New Zealand. Most people don't even know where it is, let alone what it is.
Yeah. And we also got to do a story on sharks, which was awesome. Like I touched on before, I did grow up totally fearful of the ocean growing up, and I still have fearful moments. But anyone here ever kind of been scared in the ocean because of these guys? Just anyone? Yes? Yeah, a few? I think a lot of people, even if you love sharks like I do, you kind of, sometimes you like check over your shoulder or you hear that theme song in your head. And
I still hear it sometimes.
And when did that movie come out? Like we weren't...
early 70s, 77 or
we
something.
weren't like around then. And we still know all about it. And so it was very cool because through Young Ocean Explorers, I've been able to face some of my fears and actually realize that it was kind of the thought of my fears that I was so scared of. And this story in particular, it is one of my favorite adventures we got to do. We got to go up to the Kermadec Islands, which for those of you, if you don't know, they're halfway to Tonga. They're around 1,000 kilometers away. And so it's a really, really special part of New Zealand. It's our northernmost territory. And it's so incredible above the water, but also below the water. It has a mixture of like tropical fish and New Zealand species you'd see on the coast. And the water, as you can see, is this epic blue, and it's warmer than the coast of New Zealand, so that's a plus too. And so we got to go up there, and it was a journey, and it was definitely well out of my comfort zone. I think I'd just turned 15 or 14.
Yeah, 14.
14. And yeah, I'd never spent a night on the boat. So this whole trip was, I think, was it 13 days? Something like that. And the trip to get up there is 3 days on a boat. Oh my gosh, that trip, I get seasick. I don't know if anyone else relates to that one, but you know that feeling that you can't get away from it, and you're stuck on a boat in the middle of the ocean, and it's horrible, but it was so worth it. So after those 3 days, I remember we got up to the Kermadex, and it was like the best feeling ever. I was still feeling a bit sick, and Dad, being Dad, came up to me and was like, okay, get your gear on, we're getting in the water. And I was like, oh shoot. And so
I'd already been in the water. I knew what was there. It was pretty cool.
And so my first ever snorkel up at the Kermadec Islands was a very special moment for me, and I want to show you what I experienced.
When I got in the water, there were so many sharks swimming around us. I was a bit freaked at first, but I relaxed after a while. I've never been this close to so many sharks.
So beautiful.
Galapagos sharks.
Galapagos sharks are beautiful. It's hard to believe they're one of the most feared animals on the planet.
So yeah, when I first hopped in the water at the Kermadex, I was surrounded by at least 12 Galapagos sharks. And who'd want to do that? Yes, that's awesome. I definitely would. But to be honest, in that moment, that was only the second time I'd ever seen sharks in my life. I definitely jumped on Dad's back again and was kind of like, get me out.
You weren't too bad. You were holding my hand at the beginning.
It was definitely... Someone didn't give me any warning what I was going to see.
I knew there was heaps of sharks that day. Sometimes you only see one or two, and there was heaps, and I never told them what.
They were just all in one area. But it was epic because it definitely was that turning point for me, that I'd spent my whole life being petrified of seeing one, and I'd never seen one. And then seeing 12, I was like, they are so beautiful. And it was that moment where we kind of had a little conversation out of the water. I was like, kind of get me out. And he was like, they're just big fish that like to eat small fish. And it wasn't just that comment that changed my mind, but it was helpful because they are fish. They've definitely got big teeth, but they are so beautiful. And to be able to once I got more confident, I was able to swim down and be right beside them and swimming next to them. It was definitely a life-changing moment. And I love showing kids this because I know that it is such a trend. Well, yeah, it's such a common thing to be scared of these big monsters. But in actual fact, they are so beyond important. I can't even explain how important they are to our ecosystem. And we kill way more sharks than they kill us. I don't know, you're more likely to die by making a toast in the morning. But have you never heard that one? Our heads play funny games. Anyway, I love showing kids that
Next slide.
Stop. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. But yeah, so how I spend my time now, we get to still go on adventures, but I get to go into schools, mainly primary schools and intermediates, and go talk to them about what we do, but also about what they can do to make a difference. It gives me so much joy. I love it so much. And we haven't done a talk together in how many years? 4 years, 5 years. And so this is why this is
That's
so
why I'm
fun.
standing here quietly, just trying to say nothing. Otherwise, I'll get in trouble.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's awesome. And public speaking, just like the sharks, was a fear of mine. And I've heard a stat, I don't know how true it is, but some people are more fearful of public speaking than
It's right
death.
up there. It's one of the top ones.
And I find that crazy, but it's kind of like that mind games again, and I get it. Public speaking can be scary, and that's, I started my journey and I was terrified. My first public talk was actually TEDx, which, oh my gosh, it was
2,500 adults.
I was 14 at the time, and oh my gosh.
I think I was more terrified than you, though.
It was scary, but it's also just embarrassing that it's on the internet. Anyway, that's more scary. But yeah, it's pretty cool that that has become my job. And at the moment, we are looking for more funding to be able to do that. But I think public speaking is such a great way to get ideas across and get messages across and to spread a message. And I really encourage anyone in this room that if you're thinking about it or if you ever get the opportunity to do any kind of public speaking, it's great in all the ways. I don't think,
Something about public speaking, I think every time when I go and do it, I know from my experience when I was a kid how something inspired me that changed my life. Every time I go into an audience, I think, man, I can change directions of lives in this room. Absolutely convinced of it. You know, when a kid gets inspired by something, it's like, whew, learning becomes easy, you know? So that's the attitude I take, and yeah. Carry on. Where are we?
I think that's you.
Yeah. Hey, the next step in our journey was I had this idea after doing 10 episodes is like, I want to write a book and a DVD, get into every school in New Zealand. Ambitious idea. I run a very realistic budget that didn't include me or Riley in the budget. It was $100,000. Sounds really expensive, but when you work it out and you do a high quality job, that's what it is. And I remember speaking to this dive club one night. It was a wild night in Auckland. I literally got one of my friends ringing me on the way down going, dude, I don't know why you do these talks. You should be at home watching TV. I said, man, I just love doing it, you know. And I'd spoken to this dive club twice before. And I thought, man, I'm not going to talk about orca stories and all that kind of stuff. I've done it before. I want to share my passion. How I want to change a generation's perception of the ocean and the way we treat the ocean. Anyway, there was a guy in this, I talked to them about the book. I showed all these episodes of Young Ocean Explorers. Most of the people were probably over 60 in the room. They were begging me to show more episodes. It was awesome. And then I told them how I wanted to raise $100,000. I had one person in the room at the end. Everybody was really enthused and thought it was great. I was dreaming about raising $100,000 on Kickstarter. This one guy in the room came up to me and he said, Steve, would you take money from other organisations or other groups? And I was thinking, man, I wouldn't take money from McDonald's and, things like that. And, you've got to be on brand. He goes, I've got a trust. Here's my card. I knew nothing about trusts, okay, or and foundations. And a couple of days later, I put my hand in my pocket and found this card. Oh, yeah. I'd forgotten all about it. I Googled him and I thought, oh, my goodness, this is amazing. It was the Bobby Stafford Bush Foundation. I rung him up straight away. I said, Brian, this is amazing what you got here. Can we catch up? And he goes, okay, I'll pull the trustees together on Saturday. And I walked in the door of their house and his wife, the very first thing she said to me was, Steve, I haven't been able to shut him up since that talk the other night. That was the first thing. We learned about the foundation. We sat down at the table, like she cuts to the chase, Patty does. Wonderful lady. We just had them up for lunch the other day. But anyway, she goes, Steve, how much you need? I said, we need $100,000. She goes, we'll just pay the whole lot. And I said, whoa. I was like, what? And I said, no, I don't want you to. And this is really important because I thought it was really important that we took a whole lot of people on our journey with us. And so I said, I want to do a Kickstarter. This is important. Okay, long story short, we did a Kickstarter. We got, it says 40 grand. It was actually 32 because somebody put in 8 grand. He's a tie kicker. I knew he'd probably pull the money out. He did that. This is the Kickstarter video that we did.
So we've made 10 episodes for TV. We've done stories on orca, dolphins, turtles, stingrays, and sharks. I even got to swim with one. But that's just the beginning for Young Ocean Explorers. These stories aren't just about me and my dad having fun. They're also there to encourage everyone to experience it for themselves. So here's where you come in. We want to share these stories with kids from all over the world so they can see how truly magnificent these creatures are. For our Kickstarter project, we want to produce a Young Ocean Explorers book and DVD so that we can get a copy of both into every school in New Zealand. This is my dad, and my passion comes from him. He's loved being in the ocean for as long as I can remember.
Hi, I'm Steve Hathaway. I've always loved being in the ocean way more than being on the land. New Zealand is world-renowned for its spectacular beauty above the water, but below the surface is even more beautiful in my mind. I've been an underwater cameraman for over 8 years. I'm passionately in love with what lives underneath the surface.
we've been privileged to trial the Young Ocean Explorers video series in our school, and the students have responded very positively.
This year in 2014, we aired a 10-part series called Young Ocean Explorers. It was education through entertainment. We are great supporters of the Hathaways, and we wish them well with all their future endeavours, and we hope to see them again soon.
So we're passionate, young and old ocean explorers trying to get the message across to others. We would love for you to partner with us to get a copy of the Young Ocean Explorer book and DVD to every school in New Zealand. That's over 2,500 schools.
I believe we're onto something so powerful that can change the way kids view and treat the ocean. We're committed to making stories that create change and leave the world a better place. And we need your help to make it happen.
There's a whale over there! Oh my gosh, it is massive!
So that was our video. To
I
engage
haven't
people
seen
with
that
Kickstarter.
since we made
I
it.
didn't watch it before I put it on the computer. That's hilarious. But that was not for a number of years. But that's the book we did. And like what we did is we did 10 chapters that followed the 10 different stories. And I wanted to tell them through Riley's eyes, through the eyes of a child that's experienced this amazing world. So other kids could be drawn into it like that. But also part of the chapter, we wanted to do a feature on each of the scientists. And we wanted to take out some of the mystery of what it takes to do some of this cool stuff, because at the end of the day, they were kids like us, And so we decided with Dr. Ingrid Visser, I wanted them to talk about what they were like as a kid, so it would inspire kids. Anyway, that's what 2,500 books looks like, wrapped up, going out to schools. And something I want to say, when you're on your journey, that relationships with other people are so vital. It's like you treat people well, and you're going to have people go along with you. And something you'll learn, if you're passionate about something and you're going in a direction, people want to believe in something. People want to be part of something. If they see somebody that's going in a direction that they believe in, a lot of people want to follow along with you and do that. And we've learned that on this journey, that it's been so many people that have collaborated and helped us do what we do. I'm just an ordinary guy. And so this kind of stuff here, we had a local youth group, we put a call out on Facebook, we had volunteers turn up, and we were just smashing up, wrapping out these books, incredible. Smiles.
So the reason we show this random photo is because these two girls, Bella and Geordie, they changed another path for Young Ocean Explorers. What was really cool was quite a number of years ago now, we heard that they had watched one of our episodes. It was actually the turtle episode where we got to interview Dan Goodaway again when we released those turtles with Kelly Tarletons. And we were swimming up at the Poor Knights, which is like world renowned for being one of the best dive spots in the world. If you haven't gone, I recommend it. Favorite dive spot in the world. Oh my gosh. And so anyway, we were swimming up at the Poor Knights and we were heading back to the boat and we actually found plastic and quite a bit of plastic, and no one lives there. It's quite a way out from land. And so we brought that plastic back onto the boat and we talked to Dan about it, and he said a little line that he was like, imagine if every single New Zealander picked up at least one piece of rubbish a day. Imagine what kind of difference that would make. And so these two girls, they watched that episode and they were like, hold on, what if that did happen? And so they decided to come up with 1+ a day. So I think the name in itself is great. It's all about picking up at least one piece of rubbish a day. And they created posters and stuck them all around their school. And they also made a song or a rap for their whole school to learn, which I think is amazing because music is such a great way to get ideas across. And they had their whole school participate. They had their whole school singing the song and picking up pieces of rubbish, but they also had other schools in the area join on too, which I think is incredible because once someone starts an idea, word travels. And we heard about this idea and Dad was like, oh my gosh, we need to make a video. We want every kid to hear about this because I think 1+ a day, it's catchy, it stays in your mind, but I also think it's just so fantastic because every single one of us in this room, whether we like it or not, walks past rubbish every time we leave the house pretty much. And sometimes we actually become blind to it because it's so normal. And so I think having that goal in your head is so great because it's like, picking up that one piece actually makes a difference. And it's something that everyone can do. And
Yeah, and something about this, not only about, like, I love the messaging of 1 plus a day. I think and the thing I think I loved even more, like, there was a real simple message, and people need simple messages, you know. It's just something real easy. It's a low bar that, you know, that I found in my own life, you know, that through my 4-year-old, he got on my case about picking up plastic because of one of Riley's videos, and, you know, going to a skateboard park after seeing this video, and I'd forgotten about it, and he goes, "Dad, we've got to pick up all the plastic." Holy moly, you know, he made me do it 3 times in a couple of weeks, and it changed the way I started behaving. So I knew this was powerful. But the other thing that really got me about this that I loved is, like, it just showed me, you know, about this generation of kids that are not only digital natives, they're environmental natives. They know the world's in turmoil, and they want to make a difference. I thought, let's celebrate a story of kids to show other kids what 2 normal kids did and the impact they can have in their school and local communities. So we wanted to tell this story to all around New Zealand. So here's the video we made. It took me 2 years to raise funding for this.
Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But they were 10 years old when they came up with this idea. I just think that is awesome.
Have you ever thought about how much plastic you touch in a single day? Like grocery bags, food containers, drink bottles and packaging. Plastic is everywhere, including our oceans. Scientists tell us that of the 300 million tonnes of plastic made each year, 8 million tonnes are ending up in our oceans. That's around 1 rubbish truck of plastic every minute. If we don't do something, by 2050, there'll be more plastic than fish in the sea. We think that every school kid can make a difference. If every child picked up at least 1 piece of plastic a day, that would be around 750,000 pieces. Because after all,
This is my school. This is my park. This is my street. This is my ocean.
and this is our community. Let's love our ocean and pick up at least 1 piece of plastic a day.
So that's been a really popular message, and we regularly tell kids that wasn't our idea. It's it's other kids just like you, and I just think it's so much more powerful. Hey, the next step in our journey was in 2017. Greenstone TV approached me. They loved the concept of Young Ocean Explorers. Initially, they wanted to try to do an international series, which we didn't pull off. But then they said, there's this interactive fund through New Zealand on air. Do you want to go for it? I said, yeah, great. They won it. I think it was $202,000. Sounds like a lot of money, but it's nothing. Because what we wanted to do is we wanted to create an interactive website, like an interactive documentary, as well as a whole lot of content. Incredibly ambitious. So one of the things that we did was right at the beginning, we knew we had this incredibly lean budget, like so lean. And we had people that believed in it that were going to work for a fraction of what they normally got paid. I never got paid anything for this, okay? And that's pretty much a lot of the Young Ocean Explorers story. That's not a sob story. When you believe in something, you're going to make it happen no matter what. And what we did early on, we decided, man, if we want to target kids 5 to 13 that are on the internet all the time, doesn't matter how good our site is, even if we're absolute geniuses, we're not going to compete with YouTube, Minecraft, or Fortnite. It's not going to happen. So right at the beginning, we decided, let's target teachers and let's make it that it works within the New Zealand curriculum, because if we get one teacher using it, we get 30 to 60 kids automatically using it. And that one moment and that bit of thinking shaped the way we did things. So we went out in 2017, we told New Zealand on air we were going live with something like 15 videos. Me being a maximizer, we went live with 100 and something videos, and it was really, really well, it was greatly responded to. Now we have, teachers don't have to sign up, it's completely free to use, and we've given some great tools on the site that it completely works within the curriculum. The kind of feedback we get back, I got English as a second language teacher. She was she was in Auckland University, had feedback from this work group, and she shared our content with them. And just the feedback she said we're in the Goldilocks zone, which is a very good thing, that it was highly engaging for kids because it was, through the eyes of another kid. It was like we were tricking kids into learning stuff, and it was through the eyes of a kid, and very, very powerful. And I think sometimes people overlook the power of story. And story is so important. I could share facts and it won't engage anybody. You share a captivating story, and it's like you've got all this information, and the amount of emails and feedback and photos and posters and that we get from kids or families or parents saying, my kid, man, they've changed, they're going this way, or kids just saying, just doing really well in school and stuff like that. Our next step down that, okay, so we've got a very engaging site. We've got over 4,000 teachers signed up on the site. We're used in thousands of classrooms around New Zealand and a lot of places overseas. My friend gave me these 3 words because initially I just wanted to inspire kids, give them the awe and wonder. But I started, over the years and seen the 1+ a day, I just thought, man, these kids are a powerful force, So it was like, we want to educate them, which we were doing on the site. It doesn't take much motivating, but when you enthuse a kid about something, it's amazing how much more energy they have towards something. And we wanted to let them loose on the world. And one thing we love doing is taking the mystery out of what it takes to succeed. Because most people that have done great things, when you saw them as kids, they weren't necessarily great people, They've just gone on a path and they've, So anyway, the 21-day challenge was our next step. And we released our first 21-day challenge this year. Now, this idea we've been thinking about it for a couple of years. Another one of my friends had approached me and said, Steve, this is a guy that gets paid a whole lot of money every day, like, more than most people get in a couple of weeks and in a day. And he goes, Steve, I want to give you a week of my time. Let's have a workshop and nut out a sustainable way forward for young ocean explorers. Because I'm a very enthusiastic person. I'm not a strategic person. So we went down and we were nutting out a strategy. And he came up with this idea of 21-day challenge. And what the idea was we knew it was engaging content. We knew a lot of schools were using it, in particular over summer, huge usage. And we got it down to this idea of a 21-day program that classes went through. From that workshop, then I went and got 6 of our most engaged teachers from our site. I got one from down Westport, flew her up. I got the Bobby Stafford Bush Foundation, gave me some money to run a workshop for a couple of days. I brought in one from Tauranga and the rest from Auckland, and a diverse group of people. And I told them the idea, I want to have a highly engaging 21-day program that touches all the, touch points that teachers need to do, to say they've been teaching well. I want it to be highly engaging for kids, and I want something that is so easy for teachers that they love doing it, because it had to be some of the selling point to actually get into classes. And so we nutted around in the National Library in Auckland for a couple of days, this workshop. Then we kind of had this framework that we were going to use, and then I engaged a teacher to go and do lesson plans for 21 days. So we come up with this 90-minute program, and the idea was that they would see 8 to 10 minutes of video each day on a specific theme. The theme this year was Restore the Hauriki Gulf Marine Park, and we had 1,100 classes from around the country engage in this program, which is amazing. This is our way forward for young ocean explorers, because it's like we can reach kids en masse. It's one thing to have a message. It's one thing to create a great video with a great message. If you can't get it in front of people, it's not going to have very much impact. But we want to change the way that New Zealand thinks, and treats and behaves towards the ocean. And I think we can do it through generational change. As a parent, I've seen the power of a child. That is parents act like if they hear a squeaky wheel, they're going to make change. If there's a kid squawking in there, Dad, don't do that, like my kid with the plastic, you change your behavior pretty quickly, and kids take the stuff home. So it's really powerful.
Awesome. Well, I just want to, I think it's been I was trying to think through this talk because I was really, really excited to talk to you guys in particular because, like I said before, I normally talk to younger people. And I think it's quite cool. It's quite a cool age group to talk about because with kids, I can't really talk about all the doom and gloom because obviously I don't want them. Like one time I did a talk and I didn't really mention plastic much. I obviously mentioned it because it's important, but I had this 5-year-old come up to me and hug me and start crying. She was like, I don't want the animals to die. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what have I done? Like you don't want kids, like I said before, you don't want to scare them into like trying to make a difference, but it's cool to talk to you guys. And I just want to really encourage you guys with whatever dreams you guys have or whatever passions you have. And I'm sure all the other people who have talked about this too, that you can all make a difference. But I think, like I said before, it's quite sometimes overwhelming as a young person hearing all this stuff. And I sometimes feel quite helpless, but then it's like, actually, hold on. We can't fix the world by ourselves. And I know there's so many different ways we can all make a difference, whether it's like picking up your piece of rubbish or not using it in the first place, or going vegan or biking somewhere. Like, there's endless possibilities, but it's actually really tiring to try and do them all. And like Kote talked about yesterday, I missed her talk, but I talked to her today. And I think what she said about you really need to look after yourself before you can help anything else. And I think that's so beyond true, because yeah, I just feel bad for these kids growing up in this world where it's like we've got so much pressure that this world is doomed. And actually, I think it's really important to obviously focus on that stuff and do what you can, but focus on the good as well, because in New Zealand, our country and our underwater world is insane. And yeah, I just really encourage you guys to look after yourselves, but also pursue those dreams you have, because yeah, just work together on that dream and you can do it, because we have, and it came from a school project. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's a lot more to come yet. You know, I think we've been going for 8 years, and I think we're only just starting to see the ball sharply like a cricketer, you know. After years of training, they start seeing the ball a lot more accurately and they can get their bat into place. And I think we're starting to see the ball a lot more accurately. And Riley talking about looking after yourself. It's my weakness as a passionate person. I want to do everything. I want to say yes to everybody. I want to talk at every talk. And I want to be doing lots, you know, and it burns you out. And, you know, this year, you know, I've been quite fried. You know, I'm definitely coming right now. But, you know, I had 3 or 4 months that I just had to take it easy. I've done very little on Young Ocean Explorers, and I've had to learn how to be more strategic than busy. And there's a big difference, you know, and that's a very big thing for us. So, yeah, as Riley said, we really want to bring hope, you know, into the situation. And that's something we did in the 21-day challenge is we did 7 hope stories. And what a hope story was, we wanted to feature people that are doing some cool stuff and making a difference. And we wanted to break it down into bite sizes for kids, that we wanted to highlight a story that, like Rochelle Constantine with Brooders Whales, it was like we did short videos, 3.5-minute videos. What was the issue you saw? What was the idea you got? What were the steps you took? What has happened? What's your hopes for the future? And at the end of the video, Riley will go, what's your idea? You know, you can make a difference too. And we just wanted to take some of the mystery out of that. So, hey, that's what we're about. Facebook, Young Ocean Explorers, yeah, as I said, I've been out of action for like 3 months or so, so I haven't been on social media, but we're going to be picking it up again. And that's a really important tool for communicating. And I tell you what, relationships with people you work with anybody, I just, you know, I hate the word networking. You know, when people say that to me, I absolutely abhor that word. You know, I love making friends, you know, and that's what life's all about. And a lot of these people are my friends. You know, after the Bobby Stafford Bush Foundation gave us $80,000, afterwards I said to them, man, I never want you guys to give me, I literally said this, I said, I never want you guys to give me another cent again. I just consider you lifelong friends, you know. And they said to me, Steve, you just don't understand. We want to be on this journey with you. Sometimes we will support you with a whole lot, and other times it may not, or just a little bit. But we want to go on this journey with you, and that's just really important. So I just want to thank them all, and especially the Wright Family Foundation. They've been huge in our journey as well. So are there any questions? And that was pretty good for us, 52 minutes.
Nice.